What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I want to talk through something that I have personally been working through. And when people don't do things the way that I think they should be done, I don't always respond in a manner that optimizes the behavior in the future. And I have let my emotion dictate my response as opposed to responding in a way that would increase the likelihood of an optimal behavior occurring next time. Or maybe even, for example, respond in a more curious manner. And because I have high standards, or at least what I consider to be high standards, this can make for a less desirable atmosphere. And so I've been working on this part of my leadership for recently, and I've been working on it very hard. And with the help of my wife, who, for context, for those of you who don't know her, she is the complete opposite. She walks into a room, lights everyone up, and is very, very good about being patient and responding in a way that is productive, even if she is frustrated. But with her help, I've come up with a solution that has helped me recently, and it's something that I'm going to continue to implement. And so I'm going to share that solution with you in the event that this is something that you are struggling with or have struggled with in the past. And if you haven't, maybe it won't be as helpful. But I think all of us get frustrated at some point, and so maybe you'll find some value. But first, my name is Ryan Rice. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I shout into the camera like this to document and crystallize my own learnings, but also if they're helpful to you, then that is amazing. So this solution that has been helping me recently is repeating to myself over and over, be kind, not nice. And if you're on the internet, you've probably heard other people say that before. I did not come up with it. And I'm not really here to reiterate what I've heard from someone else or to try and put someone else's words into my mouth. I am just going to share with you how this has been helping me and how I've been using it a little bit more tactically. I believe one of the most difficult parts of running a business is leadership. Anyone can work really hard. Anyone can execute on their own, but getting other people to do the things that you want them to do is a whole next level skill set. And I think the reason for that is because leadership levels up into about 1,000 different micro behaviors that you have to optimize for, as opposed to if you are providing a service or selling a product, then anyways, I think leadership is hard. And it can be frustrating when people don't do what it is that you want them to do or that you need them to do. And especially if you feel like you've already very clearly communicated expectations so clearly that you have had your team repeat back to you what it is that you need, and that is communicated clearly, but the things that you want them to do are still not happening. And so when this happens over and over again, you feel like that shouldn't happen. And it's easy to communicate or respond in a way that isn't productive, or to respond in a way that decreases the likelihood of a future behavior being different. And for me personally, I don't want to intentionally make anyone feel bad, but I do care about the outcome that we're after, right? So if someone isn't doing something that I want, it is because I believe that if they do what I want, then the outcome that we're after will be delivered on. And I care deeply about that outcome because I want to make sure we deliver for our customers. And so in the moment, my prioritization over the outcome or prioritization of the outcome is more important than the person on the other end's feelings or what happens next even. But I think there's a way to accomplish both. Both being accomplish the outcome or increase the likelihood that the outcome is accomplished while not making the person that you're communicating to feel poorly. Now, there's also the issue of focus. If you're constantly focusing on what annoys you or what the other person is not doing, well, you are going to get more annoyed because, as Tony Robbins says, where attention goes or where focus goes, energy flows, right? And if you are someone who prioritizes the approval of the other person, in other words, you want to be liked, it can be difficult to address something directly if your desired outcome is not to upset the other person or make them feel bad, which can put you in this little spiral, right? You're annoyed, but you don't want to say anything for fear of coming across annoying or petty. And obviously, if someone has this issue forever, it's unlikely that that individual will go anywhere in business, or at least there will be for sure a ceiling. Because one, when things go wrong or people do make mistakes, you're going to unintentionally make them feel like shit, or if you're really upset, maybe intentionally. And you're going to create this domino effect of everyone being terrified in your business of making mistakes. And because of that, everyone walks on eggshells, or maybe what starts to occur is everyone brings you their problems because they want to make sure that you will approve of the way that they're doing things, which is just not productive at all. What happens too when you're growing a business is time is very, very hard to come by. And so if you're in the beginning and you have very few resources and you need to accomplish a million different things, everyone in the company is going to be stretched thin. And as a result, you as the founder, when you're giving direction, you might communicate using as few words as possible so that you can get to the next task. And this is going to have two potential negative impacts. People don't very clearly understand what it is that you want because you didn't put in the necessary time to communicate effectively. And two, your communication can simply come across harsh or in a way that doesn't optimize for the outcome that you desire. And everything I've talked about can be even more compounded if you have people on your team who aren't committed as you. And I have realized how important this is because in the beginning, you might bring someone on your team just because you're like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm drowning. Can you please come help me? And then you solve the fact you're not drowning anymore, but you're both swimming in opposite directions. And so I've found it so important to make sure from now on that when we're hiring people who are just as committed so that you can eliminate the frustration as much as possible altogether. So everything here just creates significant complexity when it comes to getting stuff done or influencing other people to get stuff done. And there's a lot of different lessons embedded here. And it's vital that we have the skills to work through these issues because without them, no matter what, the business is going to be capped. So how has Be Kind, Not Nice worked for me? This works really well for me in two very specific scenarios. One, when someone does or says something that frustrates me, it is guidance on how to respond in a manner that is productive. And two, when I need to give feedback to someone to correct a behavior, it's guidance on how to give feedback or maybe even just to give the feedback. And what I mean by that is if you are focused on being nice and not kind, then you might not give feedback because you're worried about hurting the other people's feelings, but there is a way to deliver what needs to be delivered in a kind way without worrying about whether or not the person is going to approve of you. And so this Be Kind, Not Nice serves me in those two very different fashions, and it's been very helpful. So let's break these two down. When someone does something that you don't think is right, or when someone does something or says something that frustrates you, and you constantly repeat to yourself, be kind, not nice, why does this work? Well, the first thing, like I've already mentioned, is it shifts your focus entirely away from the fact that they've done something wrong. And that is very important because if you stay focused every time someone does something wrong and you're constantly focused on being frustrated or on the fact that they have done something wrong, it's going to impact, number one, the outcome actually getting achieved, but two, how you're communicating with that individual because all you're focused on is the fact that they've done something wrong. So the frame of be kind takes away, it shifts the focus from the other person onto, okay, how do I need to respond in a manner that's effective? And the thing is, there are layers and layers of domino effects of what happens. Because if you go down the rabbit hole of you respond in a unproductive manner when you are frustrated, and that happens multiple times, what happens is you create a scenario that the other person then doesn't want to do something wrong so much that they just don't act to begin with, or they start bringing you tons of questions of, should I do this or should I do that, or which direction should I go? Because they don't want to make you upset. And when someone is so fearful of making mistakes because they want your approval, it drastically impacts how quickly things can happen in the company. So if you lead people, you have an utter responsibility to control this. If this is an issue whatsoever, no matter how, let's take it to the hypothetical extreme. You have the worst performer possible on your team. And even if you have the worst performer and you do not respond in a productive manner to the worst performer, number one, other people around you or other people in the team are going to observe that behavior, which is going to decrease the likelihood that they are going to act on their own in the future because they are fearful of you snapping at them. But two, even if someone is a poor performer, being kind just means putting them in an atmosphere where they are going to be a better fit. And there's no reason to make the person feel bad about that. If you are kind to them, then you can help them have a smooth transition. And they can go perform that way with another company, but you can still be a kind person about it. The other problem with communicating to someone in a less than productive way is, in the long run, if you consistently do this, you are going to silo everyone's behavior down to the way that you would do things, which means you completely lose the advantage of people who have had different experiences than you and might achieve a similar outcome in a different way. And if you run a business and your ceiling is your brain, then there's no, the business will not grow past your ability. And unless you are some omnipotent figure or an absolute genius, that means that your business will not grow to its potential because you're not capitalizing on the experience of others. And so it's so crucial to develop this leadership skill set, because if this skill set is not established, then your business is going to hit a wall, and it's going to hit a wall very quickly, and it's not going to move past it. And changing human behavior is very difficult. If this is a culture that you build over the course of time, changing the culture is going to take more time. And if you have scaled your business to a larger team and you still have this issue, then that is going to be extremely difficult to solve that problem when you have more and more people on your team than if you have fewer. And if you want to encourage growth within your business, which I think is going to attract higher level talent tends to want to grow, then optimizing and giving them the ability to sprout on their own. It's like if you get frustrated and then just want everything to be done in the way that you would do it, you may plant a seed with a new employee, but then it's like you're giving that seed one channel to grow in, and there's only one way that plant is going to be sprouted up out of the ground, and that is going to be less optimal than letting that plant grow on its own. And I think what you have to realize is you might be right. If you did the thing, it might be done better and it might be done more quickly. But the problem is, if you don't give the person the opportunity to learn, then again, they're never going to do things the way that they would do them. They're never going to have the ability to grow into who they have the potential to grow into. So you have to erase this, it doesn't matter if you could do the thing faster or if you believe that you could do it better. Because if that person is doing the thing and that's all they do, even if they're not as good as you, and that is the only thing that they're spending their time on, the overall output of whatever it is that they're doing is going to be greater than you just doing everything by yourself. And then I've already talked on this, but I'll touch on it briefly. the be kind, not nice is also very helpful when you need to give feedback. Because if you are someone who prioritizes making someone feel good or wanting the approval or being a boss who wants to be liked, and you want so badly for everyone on the team to like you, then that means you are not going to give productive feedback all the time, because sometimes you have to give feedback that is not nice, but you can still do so in a kind manner. And if you miss those opportunities, your team is just simply not going to grow, which again is going to cap your business's growth. And so repeating over and over, be kind, not nice, helps make sure that I deliver, one, timely feedback, and then two, feedback that is going to be helpful for the person and productive, even though in the moment it may feel uncomfortable. And so I just wanted to riff on that for a minute because it's such a crucial skill. And if you don't have the ability to give feedback, or you don't have the ability to respond in a productive way when you get frustrated, you're only going to grow to so far. And at some point, if you attempt to grow your business and you attempt to grow a team, it's all going to implode if you don't have the ability to encourage other people to grow on their own and build a team that can think for themselves. And then you bring all of the brains together as opposed to everyone siloing up to your level of intelligence. So I hope you guys found that helpful. That's something that I have been working through, and making these podcasts even help me kind of crystallize some of the thoughts that I'm working through. So hopefully it was helpful for you guys to hear. So go be better leaders. Be kind. You don't have to be nice. You don't have to be liked, but you should behave and communicate in a kind way. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.